So I'm sure you've already heard that I am going to be stepping down from leading CMX and from being VP of Community at Bevy. And thought I'd come on the podcast and talk about that and talk about what's going to happen next. So I'm stepping down. We announced it yesterday. I'm recording this on March 23rd. And Beth McIntyre, who's the director of community for Bevy and for CMX, is going to be stepping into the leadership role. And CMX is going to continue on without me. I share the news on Twitter and on LinkedIn, so you can see the full message that I sent out to the community there about what's happening and what happens next. I will say up front, this was my decision, 100%, very much a personal decision to focus on life, on actually living life, on focusing on family. I'm moving back to New York with my wife. That's another bit of exciting news. We're going to strap our toddler into an RV and take our time and drive across the country. My wife's a middle school math teacher and decided she's going to take the next year off as well. And so we're both going to take the next year off to really have a true sabbatical. We'll probably both work a little bit part-time, but nothing full-time. And my wife's been a middle school math teacher in inner city schools for her whole career for the last 15 years. And I've been doing startups for the last 15 years. So we've both been essentially doing the hardest version of our jobs. And we have a baby at home, global pandemic, all the things that everyone's been dealing with. And for both of us, it just felt like a really good time to take a break, step back, be able to settle into New York, be close to family again, and kind of take stock of life, right? Like, been doing this for 15 years, started CMX 8 years ago, and I'm a very different person than when I started this company. The world's a very different place. Community industry is very different. The world of business is very different. There's a lot of things that change, but when you work on one thing for so long, it's hard to change. It's hard to see what other paths are out there. It's hard to see what's going on. You just get into a routine, you get into a habit, you keep doing the same thing. And so I'm really excited for the first time in my career to take a real step back, to take a breath, to see what the universe has to offer, and just learn more about myself, right? Like, my personal identity has been so tied to my work, to CMX, to my profession for pretty much my whole career. Because even before CMX, I was doing the communitymanager.com and community management stuff. I'm still going to do community, by the way. I'm still obsessed with this stuff. I'm just going to take a little pause and see what new form that will take. I'm also going to be staying on as an advisor for CMX and Bevy, and going to continue to kind of help with strategy and be able to support the team. I'll still be present in the CMX community, and I'll just be a member and part of the community, contribute in the way that everyone else does. And that was always my dream, is to be able to step back from CMX and have it live on without me, have it be able to thrive without me, to not be reliant on me. I think that's kind of the hope for a lot of community builders, is that it becomes sustainable. You build a great team, you build a great community, and it will live on without you needing to pour your energy into it. And I really do believe CMX is in that point today, and it's set up to be really successful moving forward. CMX Summit this year is going to be just so much good, positive energy, because I think we're going to try to get everyone back together in person for the first time since COVID. I will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Community Industry Report and the Community Industry Awards both broke all records this year. The online community has been growing rapidly. Just everything's growing. Everything's good. The CMS community is very mature now, and it's in a really good place to continue on under Beth's leadership and the leadership of the rest of the team. So as far as this podcast, we are going to be taking a pause on this podcast as well, but I'm going to pick it up again later this year. I'm really trying to be intentional about saying no to everything for a little while and really taking a step back and not doing anything. I'll be doing some consulting and advising and tinkering over the next couple months while we wrap up here in San Francisco and my wife wraps up at school. But otherwise, I'm going to be hanging out with my baby and going on hikes and taking in the Bay Area while we're still here, which I still love San Francisco. A lot of people leave San Francisco and they like to shit on it and say how much better New York or Miami or Denver or Austin is. This is not at all how I feel leaving San Francisco. This place is a home to me. I think it's the most beautiful city in our country. It's a wonderful place with a wonderful culture, and I've found incredible friends and family here. And it's going to be really hard to leave, but I'm also excited to go back to New York to be close to family, try something new again, new chapter. But yeah, so once we do that road trip, RV trip across the country, I'll be fully unplugged. And I thought instead of kind of doing a little bit of the podcast for the next couple months, and it takes a lot of time to do this podcast and do it well, and then pause it just for that road trip. Just going to take a pause right now and bring it back probably like August, September. We'll see. But I still love this podcast. I love the conversations I get to have here. It's one of the things that I really, really enjoy. It's getting to talk to lots of different community builders and experts and different voices. And we're going to come back big when we come back because I really want this to be one of the core things that I do moving forward. I love this platform. I love this format. So, you know, I look forward to bringing it back and making it bigger and better. And I already have so many good guests that I still want to bring on here that we're going to get scheduled out, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to be running it independently, so if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, let me know because we're going to open it up to sponsors for the first time. And what else can I say? It's a huge new chapter. People keep asking me how I'm feeling. It's funny whenever you like announce that you're leaving, especially when you're, a co-founder or high up. It's like no matter how nicely you put it or how much context you provide, everyone always wants to read in between lines on like an announcement like this and think that there's, like what's the real story? Why are you really leaving? Or they're like, were you fired? Like what happened? And it really wasn't anything like that. It's in many ways it's harder to leave when I actually think things are in a good place, because there's still so much I'm excited about at CMX. There's still so many big problems for CMX to solve, and for Bevy to solve. And Bevy's in a really good place, growing really well. I mean, COVID was brutal for us. We were an in-person event company. So the last year has been one of the hardest years of startup life that I've ever experienced. But the team has done an incredible job of staying strong and adapting and pivoting and staying nimble. And I think we're coming out on the other side of it and things are growing. Our customers are super happy and we're getting to work with a lot of huge companies on building their community. So there's so much good stuff. Like the hardest thing on leaving at this point is just like, I'm excited about what we're working on. I'm excited about the challenges ahead. I love working with my team. My team is incredible. I really love them. And that's another really hard part is leaving my team, especially my community team. They're like, we're really close. But I think there's also positives to leaving when things are good rather than when things are bad, because then you get to leave on a positive note. Your last memories of being somewhere will be when things were good and positive, and you'll have fond memories of it instead of leaving when things are bad, and then your last memory of it is bad. Um, Things are never perfect. I won't say that everything is perfect, and there's nothing that I would change. But ultimately, the decision really was about me wanting to take the time to focus on family right now. The move was a big impetus. Just felt like the right time. Like, when was the right time for me to step down from CMX? There's never going to be a right time. It's been my baby. It's been my life. I've poured everything I could into CMX over the last 8 years. There was never going to be a time where it just made perfect sense for me to step away. Um, But knowing that I would step away, I'm really excited that I'm able to do so at a time when I really do believe that CMX is set up to continue to grow and be really successful without me. And I can still play a role just in a different way. Honestly, I've been doing it 8 years. I've been doing community 15 years too. There's like a lot of people who are going to be able to bring a whole new energy and voice. We're growing the team a lot. We're bringing a lot of new diverse voices into the team and into the community, and they're going to bring their own flavor, their own energy, and they'll have a lot more energy than I do these days. Um, and so, yeah, people are asking me how I feel. I feel every emotion. Like it's been a roller coaster. I actually, made the decision a few months ago to step away, and we've just been working really hard to make that transition really smooth and thoughtful for the team. So I've had a lot of time to process, and we just announced yesterday, and I'm just receiving, I think, probably like hundreds of comments and messages and DMs from people who have been part of the community for so long, and that CMX has had a impact on their life, their career, and just so many kind messages, just 100% nice, super positive, really thoughtful messages from people that I'm just filled with so much gratitude and pride for what we all built together. And it makes it sad too, because it makes it feel like, wow, this is such a special community that we've built, and it feels like I'm leaving. But again, I'm not leaving. I'm just taking a different role. um so I feel, yeah, every day I kind of go through all the emotions of sad, excited, worried, eager, motivated, tired, just everything. All the emotions keep kind of flowing through, but the overarching feeling is gratitude and excitement, and um, yeah, it feels right. And for me, what as far as what's next, like I said, I'm going to take that time off, and then I'm really excited to be an independent creator again. The last time I was really an independent creator was when I started CMX, and it was, started as like a side project. It wasn't really, it quickly became a full time thing, but even then, very small team, still was kind of running independently. But then, it grew and our team grew and it became a business. And I was running a business for the last 8 years. And so to be able to just be independent, and I'm going to be doing a lot of writing. Uh, I shared my newsletter link, which I've been posting on very infrequently. It will probably become more frequent once I get back into the swing of things. But that's just davidspinks.substack.com, where I'm sharing kind of what I'm learning and experiencing in the world of community in a more unfiltered way. I'll continue to do this podcast. I'm already advising a few companies, both in Web3 and existing companies, large companies, small companies. I really love advising and coaching community teams, and I'm going to be doing more of that. And I hope to invest. That's one thing that's been kind of bubbling around in my head for the last couple of years. And I've had a number of people reach out who have been interested in essentially starting some sort of fund to invest in community led companies. That could be community software, that could be just communities or companies where community is their product and what they what they offer as a service. It could be products that just have a very strong community focus, and basically any company that I believe has community at their core and that I can help. If I can advise and invest. I mean, I can advise and consult to some extent, but my time is limited. But if I can also invest and then give other investors the opportunity to invest alongside me, just based on the access that I've been able to have, which has been really cool. I get asked about investments. I get every community product that comes out. A lot of them tend to reach out to me, and I get to see them early, and I really enjoy doing that as well. So that could be a path. I'm hoping to help people connect to get jobs and opportunities. It's something I get a lot of companies asking me who they should hire, and I get a lot of candidates who ask me, what job opportunities I know of. And so the CMX job board is always going to be the best place to post up those jobs, but I'm hoping to help facilitate those kinds of connections more. And who knows, I might start tinkering and building things again, collaborating with other people on projects. Maybe I'll write another book. if I really want to suffer, because that shit was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I'm just excited to like not have to decide and not be overly prescriptive and just see where the universe takes me. And also, like I said, just really prioritize creating those boundaries and not overcommitting and creating space in my life. My hope is that like I'll be able to do this work and, you know, take summers off because my wife is a teacher, my sister's a teacher, my mom's a teacher. And so everyone's got the summers off. It'll be cool to align with that schedule and just have a better balance in life and, get to work on things that genuinely excite me with people that I really respect. So that's really exciting to me. Scary, scary, but exciting. And so I think that's all the news I got for you right now. Um, this will be the last episode for a while. I guess if you've been listening to this podcast, one thing I've experienced with the podcast, I love having these conversations, but you get very little feedback from people on the podcast. You can basically just see how many people download it and how many people subscribe on Spotify. You can see the reviews, which like people just don't write reviews for podcasts. It's like really hard to get reviews for the podcast. So you don't get a lot of feedback on whether or not people like it and value it. I get once in a while someone will message me and tell me that an interview really had a big impact for them or that they love the podcast and they listen to it all the time. So, you get those anecdotes. And I would love to hear from you, as I look to the future and what I'm going to focus on. I want to make sure I'm creating things that really resonate with you and bring you value and help you build communities. And as I bring this podcast back in the future, I want to make sure that it's really serving you and something that you're excited about listening to every week. So my ask, I guess, there is if you could just drop me an email. My CMX email still works. I'll still be representing CMX. So david@cmxhub.com, or you can DM me on Twitter. It's at David Spinks. My DMs are always open. And just tell me, like, have you been enjoying the podcast? How do you listen to it? What feedback can you share with me about what you really enjoy from the podcast? Which episodes really resonate with you? Which ones maybe don't? What I could do to make it better, more valuable, or more practical? I would love that feedback, and it's good validation to hear from you directly that that this is something you want to see me continue to do. Guess my other ask is just if you've been a member of the CMX community or you've been thinking about it, this will be a time of transition and change for the community and for the team. Beth is incredible. I mean, if you haven't already met or interacted with Beth or seen her at a CMX event or in the community, she's just such a source of joy and passion and positivity and great energy. She cares so deeply about the community industry and community professionals. Like she just lives and breathes this community every day. And she's done everything from running our Facebook group to Slack group to the CIAs to our newsletter. She runs our community health surveys. I shouldn't even start listing the things that she does because I will always forget a whole bunch and she'll have to remind me later. But she's incredible. You'll learn a ton from her. And just show up in the community and let's bring a lot of energy into this space. I'm going to continue to be there and be a member. Like, while we're going through this transition, it's important that all of us, members, leaders, contributors, volunteers, team members, that we all just show up in the community and bring our positivity, bring our energy, and make sure that CMX remains an institution, something that lives on for as long as the community industry lives. Like that's always been my hope, is that for as long as community is a thing in the world of business, CMX would exist to be a home for the people who do this work. And so we need kind of everyone to jump in and just bring your passion, bring your energy, bring your questions, bring your feedback, bring your expertise to keep that fire not just going, but like blazing. Like how do we make CMX better than ever? Otherwise, yeah, I'll be seeing you all on Twitter. I'll be seeing you in the newsletter. I'll be seeing you back here on the podcast when we bring it back in a few months. I appreciate you. Actually, the other thing I wanted to share too is just like I just think it's important to be able to take pauses in your life. I think we're in this weird time in humanity where there's this idea that you're born, you go to school, and then you go to work, and like you never really get to take a break until till you retire when you're older, and that seems silly. It seems silly. I mean, look, like I have a ton of privilege. I feel so fortunate that I'm in a position to be able to take time off and feel financially comfortable doing that and feel like my career and reputation is okay. But I think like collectively, and this is starting to change, but collectively we need to just do a good job of advocating for people to take that time off and not look at that time in someone's resume that has a gap as a downside or something that looks bad on them, like they weren't working, that must mean that, they messed up or they couldn't handle it, and look at it as a good thing, right? Like that is a if I see someone that I'm trying to hire and I see that they have a gap, like great, like you took time to focus on something in your life, your family, travel, experiencing the world, touching grass. Like there's so much in this world that isn't just work, that isn't just companies, that isn't just uh, trying to hit a goal. Just making sure to take those pauses throughout your career when you get the opportunity to. It only comes once in a while. I think that was part of it for me with why this is a time for me to step back. It's like this is a window for me. Our baby's not in school yet. We're moving. My wife's taken off. We don't have another baby yet, which we're hoping to do in the near future. And the stage I was at with CMX and the stage of the industry, just like this is a window that if I don't take it now, I might not get another window for another 20 years until kids are, out of college and I have that freedom again. So when you have the opportunity, take it. And, for me now, this is going to be in a big way, a big pause, a big reset, but take the time in small ways. Take your Fridays off whenever you need to. Take the time. Take care of yourself. Don't look at this as a negative. Look at it as an investment, right? Like I have a really good friend. His name's Noah, who sold his company and just has been essentially nomadic with his wife and son since then. And they had a little toddler, and they were still like traveling all around. And I told him that I was like, when I was making this decision, I told him that I had some fears around the finance. Like we're going to be burning through so much of our savings during this time if we're not working. And what he told me was to try to reframe it. And the way they look at it is rather than saying like, oh, I'm just losing money, I'm just burning through my savings, look at it as an investment. What am I investing in that this time is getting me? Investing in myself, investing in my family, investing in giving my brain space to breathe, giving myself an opportunity to be bored for the first time in a long time and just see where that takes me. Um, just investing in other parts of life and being a human that, you know, whatever I do during that time, it's only going to serve me well. It's only going to help me in my career because it's going to give me a lot of new perspectives and energy. I'll be able to come back to whatever I do with a much more full glass than I have had in the last few years. Look at it as an investment, taking that pause. And I'm not burned out right now. I've definitely had moments of burnout, and I've been on that trajectory of burnout several times throughout the pandemic, especially. I think like I have a lot of really good tools that I've developed over the years for managing burnout, taking time when I need it, creating boundaries. Honestly, having a kid has been a huge help because it forced me to create a lot of time constraints around what I'm doing. So, like, in some ways, it's like I do still have a lot of energy and I feel like I'm in a good mental space now. So I don't like feel that need to take a break, but I just know like there's a whole nother level of energy and focus that I could be tapping into that, I'm just kind of like maintaining at that medium level. And I'm not at the bottom of my cup. My cup's not empty, but my cup's not full either. And I like after 15 years, I've done a lot of, week-long trips or 2-week vacations here and there. But like taking this real time, I genuinely think is the only way that I'll feel that my cup is completely full again. And like frankly, I don't even know what that's gonna feel like because it's been a while. But I just have to trust that that's what's on the other side. All right, that's all I got for you. Love you all. Appreciate you. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you for all of your kind messages and comments. For everyone who's been a part of the CMX community, anyone who's been a part of the CMX team, for everyone on Bevy, everyone who's worked on the team, all of our volunteers and leaders, everyone who's like spoken at CMX Summit. There's just so many countless people that have played small and huge roles in my life throughout building CMX and making CMX a thing and helping me become the person I am today. You know who you are. I love you. I appreciate you. And really excited to see you on the other side of this sabbatical with a whole lot of new ideas, things to work on, podcast episodes to launch. It's going to be a lot of fun. As always, thanks for building community. I'll see you on the other side.